Controversy and music have always gone together hand in hand. Especially in rock and roll, there has been a prevailing attitude that rockers are given a free pass when it comes to scandal. Keep watching to hear what album covers we think are the most controversial of all time. Yesterday and Today, the Beatles. The Fab Four often like to step over the line for the sake of marketing. In June of 1966, the Beatles released their album Yesterday and Today in North America. While not exactly a full-fledged album in the traditional sense, this studio release included tracks from Help, Revolver, and Rubber Soul. The first copies of the record to hit stores featured a now infamous photo of the cheeky chaps from Liverpool wearing white dresses and holding the disembodied body parts of toy dolls and cuts of raw meat. After the album art was met with broad backlash, Capitol Records proceeded to recall 750,000 copies of the record, deeming it too provocative for the American and Canadian market. A lot of folks assumed the art was meant to be a protest against the ongoing war in Vietnam, while others dismissed it as harmless fun. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, Electric Ladyland. The original UK release of Hendrix's landmark chart-topping psychedelic rock album featured a bit of liner art that depicted 19 nude women. Apparently it was too risque, even for Jimi, because upon his request it was changed in future cuttings. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, two versions. The cover photo of John and Yoko's avant-garde 1968 classic was taken with a time delay camera that allowed the two musical stars to capture a snapshot of themselves in the nude. Not surprisingly, the end result provoked widespread outrage. The cover art was so controversial, distributors opted to sell the record in plain brown paper cover. Only 5,000 copies of the album were ever pressed in the UK. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. GNR were accused of misogyny upon the release of their debut album, which featured a painting of a robot who appeared to be attacking a woman. The painting in question, which incidentally was also titled Appetite for Destruction, was painted by artist Robert Williams in the mid-70s. Later pressings of the album replaced the image with the Guns N' Roses logo we're all familiar with. David Bowie, Diamond Dogs. Easily offended people weren't too keen on the depiction of testicles sported by the half-Bowie, half-dog hybrid featured on the cover of this album. The artwork was painted by Belgian artist Guy Pilaert, who thought it was ridiculous that people would take issue with such a minor thing. Fearing backlash, early editions of the album featured artwork where the offending gonads were airbrushed out. The Rolling Stones, Beggars Banquet. The Rolling Stones record label flipped out when they saw the sleeve art intended to be used for the band's 1968 album Beggars Banquet. The image depicted a horrendously dirty bathroom wall featuring loads of graffiti. The photo was taken at a car dealership somewhere in LA. The album ended up getting delayed for weeks before being released in a plain sleeve that appeared to be a parody of a party invite. The original cover the band intended was later used when the album was released on CD in the 80s. Nirvana Nevermind. Kurt Cobain and company's groundbreaking grunge album Nevermind featured a photo of a 3-month-old naked baby swimming in a pool while chasing a dollar bill on a string. Because the cover featured the pint-sized model's genitalia, the band's record label, Geffen, wanted to censor it. The only thing Cobain was willing to let the label do was cover up the offending portion of the cover with a sticker bearing the words, "If you're offended by this, you must be a closet pedophile." Blind Faith, Blind Faith. This album cover was offensive by 1969 standards. Today it would probably be considered illegal. As the story goes, when Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood were trying to come up with a name for their new supergroup, they stumbled upon a controversial piece of artwork by artist Bob Siderman bearing the name the band would eventually use. It depicts a naked female holding a model plane. While that isn't alone too shocking by today's standards, it's only after learning that the model, Mariora Goshen, was only 11 years old when the photo was taken that you understand how offensive this album cover really is. Why Clapton and Winwood ever thought it was a good idea remains a mystery. The Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. Andy Warhol had a hand in the artwork that would come to be featured on the Stones' 1971 album. Not only is the title of the album itself saturated in innuendo, but the close-up shot of a male crotch proved to be too much for some viewers. The original vinyl even featured a working zipper. However, after retailers began complaining the zipper was causing damage to the vinyl while in transit, It was removed for future pressings. Roxy Music, Country Life. Roxy Music's fourth LP featured two scantily clad women models on its cover. One of these ladies was the cousin of guitarist Michael Caroli from the band Can. Not surprisingly, the cover art caused much outrage and ended up being censored in a number of countries, including the US. Despite the controversy, the album still managed to break into the top 40 of the Billboard Top 200 charts. Scorpions, Virgin Killer. The fourth LP from German rock band Scorpions featured a photo of a nude 10-year-old girl. Reportedly, the band claimed the image was supposed to depict time as being the killer of innocence. After being met with moral outcry, the album ended up being sold in sealed black plastic wrap in many countries. The Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. What may very well be the most controversial British album cover of all time, the Sex Pistols' lone LP caused chaos upon its release in 1977. The album ended up at the center of an obscenity court case in the UK after a record retailer in Nottingham was arrested for displaying the sleeve. The offending word that landed the album cover in hot water was bollocks, which is a British term for testicles. Virgin CEO Richard Branson hired an ace attorney named John Mortimer to defend the retailer, and the charges were eventually dropped. Dio, Holy Diver. This 1983 album by metal outfit Dio featured a sleeve that depicted the band's demonic mascot, Murray, engulfed in waves while watching a chained-up priest drowning to death. The group's frontman, James Dio, argued that looks can be deceiving, and it could very easily be that the priest was the one killing the devil. The Mamas and the Papas, if you can believe your eyes and ears. Back in the day, it was considered taboo to show a toilet on TV. Sitcoms like Leave It to Beaver and The Brady Bunch wouldn't even include a toilet in scenes that took place in the bathroom. Set designers simply didn't even invest in one so as not to offend anyone. So while the Mamas and the Papas' 1968 album cover might not seem offensive by today's standards, it created some uproar upon its release. The cover shows the band sitting in a bathtub together adjacent to a toilet. Retailers complained the image was obscene, leading to alternative versions of the album quickly being put out that featured text promoting the album's singles where the toilet seat once sat. Now it's time to hear from you. Which album cover did you think was the most shocking? Let us know in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.